I am significantly more tired than I usually am. Which is saying something considering I'm an insomniac. Scarlett and I bought Baldurs Gate 3. Specifically the premium edition that has the 96-hour early access on PlayStation. And for the last 3 days, we have been making runs anywhere from a minimum of 9 hours to a maximum of 17 hours. The amount of sleep that I've gotten in the last 3 days is nearly equivalent to that of when I was going to college. I'm a tiefling rogue, by the way. When you choose a tiefling, you get an option between a red one, a black one, and a yellow one. I chose the yellow one. I'm not sure what their name is, but that's what my character is. And for those of you who watch D&D Dorks, no, my rolls aren't any better. Somehow, my RNG in the game is just as bad, if not worse. So I'm gonna take me a quick nap, and then make another run. Comic Book Club who? Tim, for the love of God, can you please learn a new song? What? Really? What? Really? It is 1 p.m. It is not too late for coffee. I don't give a fuck about the coffee, dude. There's paparazzi everywhere. What the are you doing? Come on, it's Halloween. Nobody's gonna know. First of all, it's September. Someone has no fucking spirit. And second of all, this is Gotham City. Halloween's been illegal for like 3 decades. Closer to 2, but whatever. How do you not see the problem with this? You found us out when you were like 10. Excuse you, I was 13. And second of all, I didn't find you out because one of us had a bat on our cup. You need to get rid of that. Dick, what color do you wear most often? Blue. Why? And Stephanie? Okay, I see where you're going. Oh, what about Jason? You, keep them That's what I thought.
Be good and be doing good in the world and not also be a criminal.
So if you have not already watched the original video, I suggest you go back and do it. The original question that the original poster was posing was, at what point does Superman, being a morally good and righteous superhero, not become possible without him being a full-on criminal? Because of the moral reprehensibility of capitalism, a lot of American governmental policies, a lot of organizations, because of the inherent evil of them, at what point does it become a moral responsibility for Superman to stand in between those organizations and the people, effectively making him a criminal? And not only do I completely agree with the original poster, I think that the modern idea of Superman as this sort of governmental stooge Boy Scout doesn't really make sense with the character of Superman. Firstly, this idea of Superman as a governmental stooge doesn't really come about until, like, The Dark Knight Returns. Thank you, Frank Miller. Because Frank Miller, in that story, used Superman as a stooge of literally Ronald fucking Reagan. After that, Superman started acting as a liaison of the government more in comics, which you can see in comics like Death in the Family, where Superman is acting on behalf of the federal government to say, hey, I know you're gonna want to kill Joker, Batman, but don't kill Joker, Batman. The government has told me you're not allowed to, and if you do, I'm gonna come after you. But Superman wasn't always like that. Superman, for most of his life when he started, wasn't like that. I point you to Action Comics #1 that opens with a story of Superman breaking into a governor's house. The first time we ever see the Blue Boy Scout, he is breaking into a governor's house, ripping off his steel door, going up to his face and forcing him to stop a wrongful death sentence. In Superman's first issue, he breaks into a different house to beat the ever-loving shit out of an abuser. Harry Siegel and Joe Shuster originally made Superman to be the people's hero. He was supposed to stand up for the little guy. He was supposed to be the Superman, the working class, everyday guy. That's why he's a reporter, to find the truth and do something about it. Which is why I find it so funny that Superman's modern interpretations usually make him a little bit more of the right-wing one. Given, I don't mean modern comics interpretations. Modern comics interpretations actually write Superman correctly. But I mean more the public interpretation of Superman. I think people classify Superman in the same vein as Captain America, and that is the wrong identification on multiple aspects, mostly because Captain America isn't supposed to represent the US government either, but that's not the point. What I'm saying is that you're absolutely correct. There is a moral line where Superman really shouldn't stop the bank robber. Superman's job should be to stand in between the people and the police. That moral line has been baked into Superman's character since his conception. If you need a reminder of that, go read Action Comics #1. Superman is a violent fucking go-getter in Action Comics #1. If you want old school Superman who's gonna rip a fucking door off its hinges, go fucking find it. Those guys were writing those stories. Panda. What up? What the fuck are you doing, man? Working. Obviously. You know you missed Batman Day, right? That was like 2 fucking days ago. And I don't work on weekends, so you know, I don't really see the problem here. Aren't you going to Rose City Comic Con this weekend? Yeah, all 3 days, me and Scarlett are going away. Don't you have cosplays you should be working on? Well, I mean, they're mostly done anyway, so like... How about that comic book club video you said you were working on? Currently in development. Dude! But I want to play Baldurs Gate! Do your fucking job! Ugh, fine. I'm gonna be at Rose City Comic Con in Portland, Oregon this weekend. Come see if you can find me. And how will they find you? Depending on the day, I'm either gonna be Bizarro, Aizawa, or Finn the Human. Come see me. Lazy fuck. So there is a thing that pretty much every single comic fan knows about, but every non-comic fan does not, and it makes it kind of hard to talk about comics. And that is the Comics Code Authority. Now, comic fans know what the Comic Code Authority is, and in fact, most of them fucking hate the Comics Code Authority. It was this rigid set of rules that comics needed to be pushed through to be able to be published that was active from around the mid-50s to all the way up until 2009. But people who don't read comics, they probably don't know about it. They don't know what it actually was. So, I'm going to make this video so that you guys can actually know what the Comics Code Authority was. For a more in-depth version than what I'm going to give here, I would recommend watching NerdSync's video on the Comics Code Authority that's on YouTube by Scott Nicewander. Absolutely love that video, absolutely love everything they do over at NerdSync, go check it out. Alright, into what the Comics Code is. So at the end of the 40s, comic books, or specifically superhero comic books, started to kind of die. Superhero comics were really kicked up by wartime efforts, so around the mid-50s, when everybody was back and everybody was home, there wasn't really any big bad guys anymore, superhero comics started to die out, and crime and horror comics were the things that were the big fucking rage. Here's the problem though, there was absolutely no regulation for comics, period, full stop. Think of it like the early days of the internet where you would just be scrolling along on like Facebook and all of a sudden see a like actual fucking crime. Comics were like that, like publishers could publish whatever the fuck they want and it would just go out to shelves no matter what. Enter a man by the name of Frederick Wortham. Frederick Wortham was a child psychiatrist. He had opened up a low-cost clinic in Harlem to be able to treat inner-city youth. And one common denominator that he's found in all of these children that had developmental issues or mental health problems or really just problems with authority is that they all read comic books. Now, Frederick Wortham is infamously anti-violence. He thinks that human violence is essentially a disease that can eventually be wiped out entirely. Essentially, he's like a pacifist with a mission. So he sees that all of these troubled youth are reading these books that depict in graphic detail how to commit crimes and how crimes are made, or superheroes that are beating up bad guys with their fists and that's how they solve all the world's issues. And he makes a connection. And through a bunch of varied means, and I mean a bunch, like Senate subcommittees, psychological conferences, he published a book called Seduction of the Innocent that was basically just how bad comics are. He makes the American people fucking despise comic books. Comic books are the problem in America. There's book burnings, there's entire states that ban the sale of comic books, there are some states that have it as a misdemeanor if you sell a crime comic to somebody under the age of 18. It gets bad. So multiple publishers band together and go, hey, we need to start regulating ourselves so that people stop hating our fucking books. We need to essentially self-censor so that we can make sure that we can still actually sell these damn things. So a bunch of publishers get together and they make the Comics Code Authority, which essentially is a big long list of rules of don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, you can't do this, if you do this, you're not getting published. And it is strict. Good always needs to triumph over evil in the end. The bad guy always needs to be punished for their crimes. There can be no comics printed with crime or horror on the title. Everybody needs to be wearing appropriate clothing. And if you don't pass all of these rules, your book either gets sent back and you need to edit it until it does fit all of the rules, or it just gets scrapped and it doesn't get published. And this stays in place from the mid-50s all the way until the 70s. That's where you get the weird stage of comics where like Batman has a zebra suit and Superman is having weird relationship problems with Lana Lang and Lois Lane. This is why that is. They can't tell the stories that they used to tell or want to tell anymore. And then, Marvel needs to publish an issue that has specifically been requested by the American government about the dangers of drug use. However, it can't get past the CCA, meaning that this specifically commissioned comic book from Marvel that is a Spider-Man book about the dangers of drug use cannot be published because people use drugs. So Marvel goes, what if we just print it without it? And they do. And it's a success. And basically from that point onward, it's a slow downward spiral of less and less publishers actually using the Comics Code Authority to publish their books. Not only do independent publishers basically just straight up not use it, but then the big publishers just stop sending it entirely. There's no reason anymore. Final two to actually stop is Archie Comics and DC Comics. Archie didn't actually send their books in. They just printed it with the actual seal on the cover because they're like child-friendly stories. They're gonna pass. And DC kept doing it because I don't know, honestly. But both of them stopped doing it in about 2009, and the Comics Code Authority was no more. But if you look at basically any older comic, you're going to see this seal on the cover, because that was essentially the rating of it. That was like the MPAA giving their stamp of approval on a movie and saying you can send it out. So next time you see a weird Silver Age comic that story doesn't really make any sense, just know, it's because they were trying to maintain respectability, essentially. Thank you, Frederick Wortham, you correlation equals causation asshole. So I made a video forever and a half ago talking about the fact that people in Gotham should sound like they're from New Jersey. Geographically, Gotham is in New Jersey, so it would make sense for Gotham locals, such as, I don't know, the Waynes, pretty much every Robin after Dick Grayson, Batman, to all sound like they're from New Jersey. But there was one person that I really think this would be the funniest for, and that's TwoFace. Think about this. Almost every single time that we've seen TwoFace in a medium outside of comics, he has your stock, standard, bland American accent. Outside of two examples, and those are the Arkham games and Harley Quinn. And in both of those, he has the accent that I think he should have, which is an East Coast accent. This man is a born and raised Gotham native. He is a well-spoken Gothamite. So much so that he is the elected DA of Gotham. This man's gonna sound like he was born and raised in these fucking streets. Like he's gonna be like clean cut about it, but he's still gonna have that East Coast accent. Harvey Dent shouldn't sound like he went to college. Harvey Dent is supposed to be the people's lawyer. He's Gotham's white knight. The fucking every man on the street should be able to relate to this guy, meaning that he should not sound like he went to some Ivy League school. Which would lend to even more hilarity when he becomes a fucking gangster and sounds exactly like every other gangster. I just think that if Two-Face is brought into live action in the future in any sense, not to hate on the two different versions of Two-Face we've already gotten. Okay, not to hate on the Nolan version of Two-Face that we've gotten, the Tommy Lee Jones version that sucks. I think that he should have a more obvious East Coast accent. I don't think that it is outside of the character. I don't think that it doesn't fit. I think that it fits perfectly. And I think that it would be fun. Plus, outside of like, I don't know, Scarface and Black Mask, we don't really get any classic gangster sounding characters. Those like really thick East Coast accent sounding characters. And I think that that would fit perfectly with somebody like Two-Face. I don't know. Give me your opinion. Let me know in the comments. What accent should Two-Face have?
So Rose City Comic Con has been crazy so far. Not because of anything that happened at the con. I actually haven't made it to the con yet. And some of y'all eagle-eyed viewers out there might realize that this is not a room that I have filmed in ever. That would be because we're currently at an urgent care in Portland, Oregon. On the way down to Rose City Comic Con, me, Panda Scarlet, Panda Scarlet's friend, and the actor Bat were sideswiped in our car. We're okay, there weren't any major injuries as far as we're aware yet. Currently, Panda Scarlet is getting a x-ray of a couple of bones that have been aching since the accident yesterday. My car, however, is significantly less okay. This image doesn't properly show how fucked up the car got. You can't open these doors at all. This front tire is popped from hitting the rim. These airbags both deployed on the passenger side doors, one of which Scarlet was on. We were trying to turn into a McDonald's, and we got hit hard enough that not only did we completely clear the McDonald's and the lane we were trying to merge into, but as you can see, we are now looking at the drive-through lane. So as soon as we get the all clear to go to the con, we're actually going to go. Currently, we're driving a rental right now, and we are staying at the hotel that we had booked. Scarlett and I are currently working on a GoFundMe for my actual car so that we can, maybe buy another one, because honestly, this I absolutely despise asking for people's money, but I will let you guys know once that is up, because I was already broke before, and then I'm most likely gonna have to buy a new car. But just know, everyone is alright, we are all okay. I will say, if you see us at Rose City Comic Con, try your best to approach me from the front, because my neck hurts a little bit by, getting hit with a fucking car. And currently I'm moving like Michael Keaton Batman. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. I thought you guys would like to know, how my fucking weekend's going. Welcome to Portland, god damn.
Hey there, editing Panda from the future. I thought that you guys might want a little bit of an update concerning that last clip. In regards to the car accident, yeah, Scarlett didn't actually fracture her arm, but there is a chance that a tendon got separated from her bone. We're waiting on going to an orthopedic surgeon for that, but her arm is still pretty messed up. Regarding some of the comments that I got on the original video, I do want to say, yes, we had insurance. The car was fully covered. The GoFundMe is more so to be able to cover the fact that we are now down to one car and all of the expenses that will come from having to operate on one car and having to, fund a rental and an entire con like 3 hours from my actual house. Everyone is still remarkably okay. I took pretty much a week off after the car accident so that I could kind of just mentally recover. I wasn't really feeling funny. Bet you can tell from how short this video is. Scarlett is still taking it easy. She mostly is feeling better. A lot of the pain is more in her chest area now in comparison to what we thought was an elbow or possibly humerus fracture. And Acrobat is doing okay as well, and so is Scarlett's friend. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we are doing okay. The GoFundMe is actually almost completed, and I thank everybody for all of their super generous donations towards that. It is really, really going to help us out in the coming months, especially with finding a new car and all of the expenses that come from living off of one vehicle in our already really tight money situation that we had before. So thank you all for all of your generous donations. This is almost completed, and I promise that next month is going to be a lot more productive, seeing as I won't have nearly as many things on my shoulders. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for donating. Thank you guys for all of your kind words in regards to the car accident. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you. And if you too would like your name read out at the end of every single YouTube video I do on this channel, as well as having the ability to vote on new episodes of the Comic Book Book Club as they come out, feel free to hop on over to my Patreon and donate at least $15 or more. Or hey, if that's not an option, even $1 helps.